This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. All right. So somebody tell me something really good.
I buried my in-laws' dog today.
Well, I guess that could be good or bad. I don't know.
I, I don't know.
All right. I guess that'll work.
It quit raining long enough for me to bury my in-laws' dog today. How's that?
Yeah. And I think we talked about that on a previous session. One time we got into that. It was July or August, and then the dirt was real hard, and I got the post hole digger and just buried him like up and down instead of laying down. I figured it wouldn't matter too much.
Jesus.
I say come down.
Just
I say come down here. It'll just float back to the top.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends if he stuck his ass up or ass down, so that way you can just tell everybody to kiss his ass.
So
That sounds
Wrong
really
to get
cool.
wrong to get me started, Brian.
what do you mean? I didn't get you started. You're like the thunder. You're autonomous. It just comes on. Um, so I fixed. Let's see. I'll just come up with. There's new fans that are coming out. I think we talked about those, and I had a misprint in there on the fans. I had the Nova 35 as an 8-inch, and it's not. It's still a 6-inch. It's unchanged, although it will come with a 6-inch fan. The only ones that have a port change to 8-inch is the 51 and the 63, and they'll come with an 8-inch fan. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I fixed it. I think it was actually here in this chart. I had this one set to 8 inches. So just for clarification. So that's all I got that's new. I mean, I have a bunch of articles that I'm writing, and I think I'm the only person in the world, well, besides one other that I know of, that likes technical writing. But if any of you do and want to contribute, I'll be glad to open up the documents.
About the furthest thing from that for me.
Well, it shouldn't be. You're a rotary manufacturer.
Well, technical drawings and technical everything else I'm good with. Technical writing,
Oh yeah.
not a big fan of.
Well, I can't do the drawings, so we can work together on it. So
There you go.
anyway, cool. So Grant, do you have anything new in your world? Anything we shouldn't talk about? I have to do that every time now.
He's not paying attention to us.
Hello.
Oh yeah, you getting your telephone going?
Yeah,
He's like a ventriloquist, or
it was acting super weird on me.
he's like a ventriloquist. He talks and then his lips move and then he talks.
Yeah, like watching a kung fu movie.
That's about right.
All right, you got anything new going on, Grant, over there? You were getting ready to
No,
walk
not
away, weren't
really.
you?
Just over here selling machines. I did those samples. But that's about it.
Yeah, cool. I'm cutting some. Actually, let me pull that thing up. I'm working on some ABS and some other stuff, and I've never cut it before. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, 4825. I'm cutting some white HDPE, about 6.5 millimeters thick, and some ABS. Or actually, whoa, I need to fix that. That's ABS. That should be ABS. Look at that. I found another misspelling. I'm going to edit that right now. Or another correction that needs to be made. This is ABS.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Something's wrong. All right, I won't do that right now. This is the ABS. I just didn't change that. That'll be better. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm working on. And has anybody ever cut this stuff? Travis, have you cut either ABS or HDPE?
ABS, I don't let near my machine.
unless you want to kill yourself.
Well, see, I've got the data sheets here for it. There's the one on ABS, and it doesn't appear to put off anything other than some stuff that it's an irritant, from what I can tell.
3D printing it is nasty.
3D, yeah, 3D
Yeah.
printing. So I mean, you're doing basically the same thing, just worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna. Well, it could kill you if you're exposed to the fumes long enough, but I mean, I don't think it's toxic, but it's
Go
definitely
back
not
up to
good
section
for you.
5.
ULS says you can do it on a CO2. So they say the same thing for the other. And they do prescribe some PPE, in the event of a critical exposure, but I don't see, unless there's an additive,
So 5.3 is why you don't laser it.
Commercial products, fire, combustion, carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Yes.
Well,
that is why you don't laser ABS.
Well, that's just like you can laser polycarbonate too, but that's not the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, you can laser this stuff, but should you? Yeah.
Yeah, you can laser PVC too. I just wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, right.
Well,
So,
hey,
HDPE
you can't
is
laser
safe to
PVC
laser, though.
because starboard does not laser very well at all.
yeah,
Starboard
I
is like
didn't.
pure PVC.
I didn't figure either one of these would do very well, but
As long as you're not doing anything detailed, I didn't have any issues when I did HDPE.
Oh, there's a fuel to air explosion component there.
There is. You've got to really watch it.
That's neat.
So with HDPE, I run CO2 for my air instead of through my air compressor.
Gotcha. To mitigate that. Yeah. So you don't get the right ratio.
Yeah.
That would be something.
But I will tell you though, with HDPE, it makes a royal mess in your laser. You will have little strings of that crap everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm still cleaning out parts of my laser from last time I cut it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool. This was informative because I even downloaded this stuff and I didn't look at that one section for that one. So that's awesome. Cool. All right. So that's what I was going to do.
So, and then, and if you need a plastic, honestly, the best plastic to cut that I found is Durlin. Durlin does
that
amazing.
Kind of high, isn't it?
Huh?
That stuff's a little expensive. I think they make a lot of like leather stamps. What do they call them? I did one. Debossing dye. Yeah, debossing dyes and stuff like that. And other things. I guess I haven't played with that material. Yeah, does it engrave and cut well?
It engraves okay. As long as your designs are bolder. I mean, you're not going to hit, some of these super detailed designs some people are using right now.
Sure.
But if you're just trying to get like your logo or something on a debossing plate, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, and Durlin really isn't that bad as long as you buy it wholesale by the sheet. If you're buying little chunks of it here and there from retail shops, then you're going to get raked over the coals. But it's, I want to say it's like $300-400 for a 1/4 inch 4x8 sheet. So it's not bad.
I'll have to play with some of that. I'll buy it from a retailer, and get it here next day and pay 5 times what I should, but I'll
probably,
All right. Well, like I said, if anybody's got any questions or anything, feel free to jump in. That's our primary purpose. Then we'll fill it in with whatever we come up with, I guess.
Yeah, and when you look at it, right, I believe Delrin is the DuPont brand name of it's an acetyl polymer, right? So you can find other plastic suppliers, and Delrin is the brand name for DuPont, so you're going to pay a bit more premium. Now you can go look and read as to how it's a lot better, right? But whether you're actually using it to make gears and replace metal, which is what I think it was actually engineered for, is high areas of friction and wear and tear where it can replace metal. But you can find some, we'll say some generic names, other plastics companies that make it a little bit cheaper.
Yep. So the other thing that's a good substitute for that too is any type of copolymer compound plastic, which is typically what they use on like pistol grips and that kind of stuff. They use a lot of the copolymer compounds, and those are safe to laser as well.
So when you say that, have you done any like G10 like you see on knife scales or anything like that, Travis?
Any G10? What's G10?
Yeah. Is that glass impregnated board, or is that
sure.
a polymer?
When you set it on the pistol grips, I know they use it on a lot of knife scales, like your nicer knives, like your Benchmades and stuff. They normally use either micarta or G10 if it's not metal or wood. You gave me an idea. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be willing to bet. It's still a plastic then?
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet it's just a different type of copolymer.
This is the stuff I was thinking about. That.
Yep. Yes, it's a fiberglass, epoxy impregnated fiberglass.
I've tried to cut through that stuff, and it is.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Design not to, right?
That's gonna be nasty.
Yeah, it's the glass. It'll burn up all the resins, but the glass stays, and it's just a terrible mess.
Yep.
Now I haven't tried it with fiber. Huh.
Fiber.
My fiber, DHL has officially lost my fiber now. So yeah. So I'm waiting to hear when they're gonna cut us a check so we can reorder it.
You should look at people shipping them via UPS, because mine hung out in Anchorage for well over a week at the UPS facility because they didn't have any people to actually load it on the airplane.
Fiber won't
Inside of the airport in Anchorage.
Yeah, well, mine got down to I think it was their Memphis thing. Went into customs cleared it, and then DHL lost it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it was about 4 hours away from me there for just a little while then.
It's probably still in Memphis somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's at.
It's on a black market in Memphis.
Pretty much, yeah.
And DHL sold it under the table. Now looking at it here, so apparently some of the uses is it's fire rated insulation board. So FR for using it for fire rated applications. So yeah, probably not gonna cut it real easy.
Where'd you see that at? I click it and nothing happens. Specs and uses? That's weird. I'm at a different place though. Yeah. They don't have their specs and uses filled out here on this one.
Oh, I take that back. They lost it in Cincinnati.
There you go.
And you can get that in all different shapes too. Huh. All right. Well, all right.
It's lost in Cincinnati. It's probably down and around the Rhine. It's definitely in the black market.
There you go.
You think so?
It's not a good section of town.
Jim said he might be able to get him a cheap fiber.
Yeah, I'm not too far from there, about 3-4 hours.
Well, okay, somebody asked me a question about lasers. Hurry.
CO2 Galvo.
Oh, that's a good question, but I don't have an answer for it. We gotta get one thing at a time. We got the fiber and we got the Aurora going, but it's not really going yet. So we better do one at a time. I look for that to come, because that is neat.
Yeah, those are difficult to ship right now. They're a lot heavier than the fiber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to come up with something, but I'm stuck.
Well, I got one. Who's done much with engraving, cutting different types of leather?
I have.
Good.
I
have not, but I've managed to find myself in a need to start doing it. So, any pointers, pros, cons? Stay away from this. Don't do that.
Chromium.
Hope you like the smell of burnt flesh.
Yeah, stay away from chrome.
Yep.
when you're starting out, yeah, stay away from chromed leather. Defocus by 1 to 2 millimeters for engraving, and super light air. Otherwise, you're going to be cleaning those up forever.
And they bleed over really well too.
Yep.
What was that?
Veg tanned is what I was looking into, which is
when you try to clean them, they bleed over. If you're not careful.
So, and this is my go-to cleaner when I'm cleaning up leather.
What does that say?
It's a Chemical Guys sprayable leather cleaner and conditioner. So this will darken the color of the leather just a little, not much. If you need to keep it, really nice and bright, then you want to use saddle soap. And, and you want to get the one in the white lid. The white lid will clean it and keep it light colored, and the yellow lid will put a little bit of an amber color on the leather.
Yeah, and I bought some of the natural veg tanned and bought some dyes, actually looking to get it a bit darker. So sprayable leather, making it a little bit darker. Don't think will hurt what I'm looking to do with it.
Yeah, leather's cool. I've done it once or twice, and yeah, he's right. It stinks, but
I've messed some up the first time I tried it. Yeah, it smells horrible. But,
and I'm actually, I always say I never make anything. I just kind of mess with the lasers. I'm actually going to make something for my daughter's boyfriend, and I bought an air compressor and an airbrush kit, and I'm actually going to airbrush it when I get done. Isn't that neat?
Well,
I'm going to actually make something.
You're going to do a full project start to finish?
I'm going to do a full project start to finish with
no video.
Yeah, I'm going to say videotape it.
No way. I'll do the second one. I'll video the second one because I'm going to do
video it, and then just put it in time lapse, and no one will ever know you messed anything up.
Well, that's true, but I want to get my process down because there's going to be a few steps. But
what kind of airbrush did you get?
It's I got it off Amazon. It's a master something. It had a bunch of reviews. I'm sure it wasn't super expensive. It's about $200 for the compressor and a little cleaning kit. And I bought a little pot that you can squirt it in, to clean it, and all of that stuff. And it came with 3 different, one of the ones that has the big cup on the bottom and a couple of replacement cups, and then the couple of the smaller ones that are fine, with
gravity feed on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a Grex brand one that I'm real happy with. Grex makes a lot of nicer nailers, like pneumatic nail guns and finish nailers and stuff. And their spray or their whole kit and with the guns and everything is real nice.
Gotcha.
Well, if you're getting into leather and you've got an air gun, then what I would definitely play around with is when you get to dyeing your own leather is doing, I don't know what effect it's actually called, but I always go and we airbrush a little bit darker on the edges to give them that natural vintage look. So they're already look like they're, 10 years old or whatever.
Distress them or make a faux. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Travis, any advice on leather suppliers?
How much leather are you planning on buying?
He buys his cows from Russia.
I buy my hides in Texas.
He walks them across when it freezes over on the land bridge from the Bering Strait up there.
Let me tell you, it's 8 below zero outside today. So yeah.
Oh boy.
I've looked into a few, and in fact, I actually set up a wholesale account with Weaver and a couple of others. But I'm just curious if you have experience. I'm thinking I'm going to be buying sides or shoulders and rather large pieces.
Yep. So what I can tell you is Black Friday, Tandy across the whole country is going to have. I happen to know this because I have a business account at Tandy, and I went over there and they gave me a copy of their Black Friday list sheet that they aren't supposed to give out, so I know exactly what's on their Black Friday. But anyways, they will have half hides in the 6 to 8 ounce, which is perfect for 6 to 8. No, it's 4 to 6, which is what you use for like patches on hats and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Or wallets or any of that kind of stuff. But they'll have half hides B grade on sale for $69 a half hide.
That's a good price. That's a good
That's an
price for
amazing
sure.
price. So I'll hit up Tandy on Black Fridays. What? I'll hit up Tandy on Black Fridays, and that's when I buy leather from Tandy, unless it's a specialty thing I need. Other than that, I've got a tanner down in Texas and one in Minnesota that I work with and buy direct from the tanneries because we're bringing in several whole hides at a shot. So
Okay.
we go through quite a bit of leather.
So on that, because my intent is also the leather patches for hats, and I've not been able to really nail down the adhesive thing. I've seen sheets that you can heat press onto squares and then cut, the patches out. I've seen other people use sprays. I've seen other people literally use a brush and glue, which to me does not seem like like a way to go for mass production. Any advice on the adhesives?
Yeah. I'm just debating how much of that I want to give away.
Oh, okay.
That's the secret sauce.
So yes, adhesives are the way to go. We have two different type adhesives. One of them is an adhesive that we heat press on prior to laser engraving the side, and then the other one is a spray-on adhesive that we will coat entire sides for. I personally like the spray-on better that we use. The downfall to it is you've got to have the room in your shop. Those hides have to sit for about 12 hours for that spray to dry before you can roll it back up.
Okay.
But it's a heat activated spray. So there is things out there for, for just dipping your toes in. There is a product that you can get at Joann Fabrics or pretty much any fabric store that is called Heat and Bond, and it is black material, and it goes on, and you just press it on before you cut it out, and it's I think they call it like their ultra hold or something like that. But yeah, we do that stuff sometimes when we're doing small runs, and it works okay. I've never had a patch fall off or anything. I think it's like $16 a roll or something like that. Yeah, it's not the light. Hey, Jeff?
Am I in the right ballpark?
Here, let me go grab a roll of it. I'll be right back.
All right. I thought he'd have it sitting right there next to him. Everything else is like, boom, here it is. Boom, here it is. he's got like surrounded by all of his props.
Yeah, he's like, here, I'll put an affiliate link in the chat. That's what he needs to start doing. Hey, Arthur, you mentioned getting into hats and press. Do you have supplier for hats yet? Because I know a lot of the popular hats, the Richardsons, the Yupong, snapbacks and stuff, are tough to find right now.
They are, and I've got a bunch of suppliers, but the 112s, which are really the most popular, I can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, if you use the 112s, give up on them. When I talked to Richardson, they've got well over 200,000 hats sitting in containers over in China, waiting to be loaded to be shipped over. They're estimating tail into next year to get the 112s back in stock.
Right.
So we've started ordering them through Sanmar, and they have a Richardson knockoff, which actually is a better quality now that we've been playing with them, called the C112. And they've been doing the best they can to keep them in stock. So you might try Sanmar and try that C112. Like I said, it's identical looking to the Richardsons, but the stitch quality I think is a little bit nicer on them.
Yeah, the other thing too, the 115s are the low profile version of the 112s, so they're the trucker snapback, but they're not as tall. I actually like the way they look and fit a little bit better, and I've had a little more luck finding those in stock.
I think
I've seen the knockoffs.
I think that's the stuff Travis was holding up a minute ago. He went to get something else now, but that's the Ultra Heat and Bond.
Yeah. Guess I should probably start doing something with some of these hats I've got.
Okay, stop talking about him. Here he comes.
What? Huh? Sorry, no, I'm running like 3 printers right now at the same time. So
Look, Travis, you're gonna have to get a little bit more organized. You can't just keep disappearing.
I know.
Your shop's too big.
So, but anyway, so here's that stuff I was talking about. It's the Heat and Bond. It's their Ultra Hold in the red package, and just make sure it's the black version of it. It adheres amazingly well to hats.
I found something called Thermafix. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't played with that one before.
It's it's the same thing. It's a 16-inch wide by I don't know 25-yard long roll.
So what you have to watch out for is some of them are designed specifically for fabrics, and that's it. The Ultra Hold, I've tested. I know it works really well on leathers. So yeah, the other stuff you're on your own.
All right.
So the Ultra Hold, do you put it on the leather and then etch and then cut it and then press it to a hat, or how do you?
Yep. You can do it that way, or you can actually engrave and cut out the patch and then put this on there. You've got to have a heat press for it to make it work right, and you just kind of sandwich it between Teflon sheets.
I think I pulled up Thermafix. I don't know if it's the stuff that Arthur was talking about. Is that what you're talking about? Or something. That's Thermafix adhesive.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm pulling it up. I'll put a link in the chat here.
Okay. Looks like you're muted.
It's Thermo, Thermo, Thermafix, and the website is SII Store, SIIstore.com. It's $50 for a roll, 27 yards, 16 inches wide.
Let's see, supplies. I don't want to do that. Let me just do, what are we looking for? Thermo. Is it? Thermafix, heat activated permanent bonding film.
Yeah. So I just put it up in the chat window.
Okay. Oh, for the Ultra Hold? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the Ultra Hold is actually not as much as I thought it was. So they only, well, the one I put up was the white one. You need the black one though, which is the second link. It's $11 for 3 yards at 17 inches.
Okay. And I'll link that Thermafix in there too if anybody wants that link. Arthur's frozen in time.
I see that.
Uh-oh.
I guess the next question you want to continue with the hat things is the minimum hat press you can get away with versus the recommended hat press.
So I only use Stahl's Hotronics, and that's all I've ever used.
IQ 360.
What did you say, Travis?
I say I use the Stahl's Hotronics. That's all I've ever used. I've played around with Geonites. I'm not a huge fan of Geonites. I know they're popular, but I've never used any of the like eBay or Amazon model hat presses before. They're too inconsistent. My whole motto is buy once and cry once.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heat Press Nation has a lot of good stuff like that too. I got a couple mug presses and things like that from them, and they work really well.
Yep. Yeah, I've got mug presses from Heat Press Nation, and they work really well. I've just never tried any of their hat presses before.
Yeah. And I've got a Geonite for pressing shirts and stuff, but they're expensive, but
yep,
they're very good at what they do for sure.
Yeah, the nice thing is, if you go Geonite or if you go Stahl's Hotronics, you really can't go wrong. I mean, they have lifetime warranties on them. So if your heating elements, usually the whole thing won't go out. It's just a portion of your heating element will go out. And Stahl's has no problem fixing stuff. I mean, I've had the electronics, I think, are only for like 3 years or something like that. And after 5 years, I had the display board on one of mine go out, and they still covered it under warranty. So, I mean, Stalls is good to work with. Hotronics is another one. Or, I mean, sorry, Geonite's another one, pretty rock solid. You know, if you want to buy and, you know, you're serious about it, you know, you're dealing with a almost $10,000 laser. So, you know, what's $1,000 on a heat press?
Yeah, and that the IQ 360, I was surprised at how well it's built. I think it's built out of solid steel. I mean, it is.
Yep.
It's not a joke. It's built well.
Yep. I do not have that one. I've been wanting to get one of those, but you know, and my wife told me until ours burns out, I can't get it. But yeah, honestly, the IQ 360 is the best thing you could get for doing leather patches. That bottom heat is really what will save you, because you don't need top heat when you're applying patches. You need all bottom heat.
Especially if you're doing any, I don't know if you've seen some of the designs people do with like the leather, and then they'll actually put like a thin wood veneer over the top with the rivets. A lot of people try to do those with traditional heat presses and start burning up wood, and yeah, they just kind of miss the principles behind it. But that and the dual independent heat control was one thing I liked on it, and then the platen design is nice, so you don't have to swap to multiple platens and deal with getting a platen to fit. I've tried a couple of different hats, and it is a pretty good universal design.
Yep.
So when you start doing your leather patches and stuff on your hats, I mean, how much can you typically get out of a hat?
Retail or wholesale?
It's retail.
Retail, if we're putting leather on a hat, we're selling it for $30 to $35.
Yeah, but I wouldn't sell a Richardson or equivalent quality, a Yupong or a nice hat like that for anything less than 30. And with the scarcity of them, I'd look at charging more, right? If you're sitting on a few hundred 112s, you can probably wait a few months and be selling them for 40. Look at Pat, he's smiling.
That thing is,
exactly.
I have full cases of 112 sitting in my stock room right now. But if you want them, I'll sell them to you. There'll only be $15 a hat for the blank.
There you go. You can double your money.
It comes with a free sheet of Glowforge plywood, proof grade.
Yeah.
Your generosity knows no bounds, Travis.
I know. That's kind of how it works. I pay about, I think my wholesale price on 112s is about $3, $3.50 a hat, something like that. And yeah, I'll sell them $15 a piece.
All right, cool. Well, like I said, if anybody else has any questions, feel free to jump in. I haven't had anything new pop up in the past 30 minutes, so.
Has anybody else pursued adding the plenum to the front of the machine so we can get outside air?
Good question. And I was going to work on a little bit of that stuff. I was wondering if you could take like a 6-inch piece of Schedule 80 PVC. Not Schedule 80. What's the thin stuff? Schedule 20?
Schedule 20.
And cut it in half. And then attach it to the front of the machine over the louvers, and then connect your pipe on the side and have it go out.
You know what I mean? You wouldn't need to do that. You just get a T fitting, cut it all, or glue it all together, then cut it all in half, so that way the T fitting is attached to the two pieces of pipe running out either side, and then attach your ducting to that.
Yeah, either way you'd want to do it. But, if you cut a notch out of a piece of 6-inch, you could leave the pipe intact on the end and connect straight to it, and just have a slice of the face of it off that would go right up against the front of the machine. You wouldn't have to glue anything or you know what I mean? You'd have to cap one end.
Yeah, I had some thoughts that were similar to that, so I was going to maybe start playing with that. I'm tired of my air conditioning and heat escaping.
Yeah, and I still can't find that picture. They took it down, whoever had it. of a bunch of thunder lasers in some warehouse or makerspace or something, and they all had an intake vent on the front of them, and then the hose went up to the roof, straight up along with the exhaust. And of course they had them separate, for the intake air, but they had dedicated air for every machine for intake air. And it looked like it was injection molded, or they vacuum formed it or something. It made something a little more professional looking, but it was the same principle. So.
Travis would do something like that and send his laser into pure shock.
Yeah, pumping in -8 degree air.
Yeah, he has a heat pump in line to get the temperature of the air handler, so it'll get up enough to.
The laser head's moving, and all of a sudden it just stops in place because it's too cold to go anywhere.
Absolutely
just frozen in place.
But yeah, and if you have an idea about that, that would. I'm thinking simple. If you just slice a piece of 6-inch, lead it stick out just a little bit on each side of the laser, hook the 6-inch on one and put a 6-inch cap on the other. Then all you got to do is cut a little notch out and put it right across the front. You could secure it with magnets or straps.
Why wouldn't you just make it out of wood and laser cut it?
You could do that.
Yeah, if only you had some way to custom cut the wood to fit.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe you could just 3D print it.
I'm sitting here looking at it, and the louvers are more narrow than the cutting width of the laser. So yeah. I'm like, it'd be pretty easy to do.
My question would be: what would be the effects on really severe temperature changes? Let's say that if you are having a colder winter and you're in a colder climate, and it is 5, 10, 15 degrees outside, or if you have a high or if you live in an area that's got a high moisture content, you're pulling in, extremely high humidities.
You'll either freeze your laser or condensate the crap out of it and fry your laser.
Short it down. Yeah.
That would be my two concerns, just looking at weather. I guess if you're living in the, middle of the country where nothing happens weather-wise, you'd be pretty safe. But if you're living...
Now, what if you pulled the air from the crawl space or from the attic, but not actually outside? At least it wouldn't maybe be freezing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but your attic air will probably be freezing still, but crawl space will be better.
Yeah, your crawl space would be better.
What is it, by adding the front louver thing on there, what is it people are trying to accomplish?
Suck the air from outside instead of sucking it out of their buildings and sucking all their heat and air out.
Quit wasting their air
conditioned
air.
Yeah, you're basically sucking all the conditioned air right out of the building or space that you're in.
Between
that, feeding your laser conditioned air as well, though, right? So it helps.
But any drastic change in temperature between the inside and outside is going to cause condensation. So no matter where you pull it from, if you got 75 degree internal temperature with AC and you're pulling in 30 degree or 40 degree air, you're going to have condensation regardless.
Yep.
At some point in that system, you're going to get condensation when those two temperatures meet. So that would be the only thing that I'd be concerned with doing that. The attic would probably be the most neutral, I guess.
Honestly, I mean, if people are concerned about doing that, you're better off getting a BOFA system than trying to engineer something that might work. So, I don't know. And also, I'll go ahead and, so this, going back to the leather really quick, because I had someone message me about the spray I was using. The reason I don't want to talk about what kind of spray I use is because it's a commercial spray that you have to have a pesticides license to be able to get. So most people won't be able to get it. So
I gotta check see if my license is expired.
Uh-oh.
I might have to go get my credit hours back up.
Yep.
So not only do you make all kinds of things there at your shop, you also kill roaches.
Well, they don't have bugs. It's too cold up there to have bugs.
Different in other parts of the country. Up here, I have to have a pesticides license because of some of the adhesives and stuff I use on various
it covers those kinds of, so you have a little knowledge about the basics of those chemicals. Yeah
exactly. So
does it even have bugs up there?
Not many. So we don't have any snakes up here, and we don't have any poisonous spiders up here. So that right there knocks out most of it. Yep, we have
No
no snakes and no poisonous, no snakes at all, and no
Cold-
poisonous spiders.
I thought that was just Hawaii.
Cold-blooded animal. Yeah, cold-blooded animals don't like cold weather, right?
Yeah, I was saying
No,
it's
no,
too long
not
of a
so
cold
much.
spell.
Huh?
Yeah, it's way too long of a cold spell for those guys.
Yeah.
Frost goes down a little bit further than usual.
Yeah, our water lines. I always get I get a kick out of it when people are like, oh, I had to dig my water line up, and yeah, it was 3 feet down. I'm like, our minimum requirement is 10.
Wow.
I was getting ready to ask
Yeah.
where your frost levels hit.
I couldn't
so-
imagine having to dig 10 foot into frozen ground anyways. God.
Oh, so whenever we have to do something in the wintertime, we've got a big thaw blankets that we put down, and it sits there and pumps about 200-degree water, 180, 200-degree water or so, or steam or whatever it is, through lines with these huge insulated blankets on top. And they'll sit there for a week to thaw out the ground enough for us to dig.
So what are your guys' footer requirements up there for buildings?
So we have to go 4 foot down with a 1 foot footer on the bottom.
Well, that's not much different where I'm at, so I'm
No,
shocked on that.
most places are 36 with a 1 foot.
Yeah.
So, and then
Yeah,
like down at my cabin, I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to move, so we did 6-inch pilings and we drove them 28 feet down. It's not moving.
Yeah, my father-in-law is an engineer, and he was worried about the soils on the addition to the house. So he went 4 feet, and we're 24-inch on our footer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like ridiculous. It's even the guy pouring, he said, this is the biggest footer I've ever seen. He said, even commercial.
You got to watch out for that around this area, though, because the soils are so clayey that they expand, and you'll find part of your house raises up and part of it might not, and it'll crack in the middle because there's so much surface area. It just comes right up with it. So,
no, I'm not talking 24 inches wide. I'm talking 24 inches deep footer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was a 2 foot thick. I forget it was 16 wide, I think it was, or something like that. But it was over 24 inches thick on the footer because he says, keep going. But he's an engineer for bridges and commercial buildings. So our foundation and the entire basement walls is all commercial grade. Mm-hmm. The block layers were going, what are you guys building? A bomb shelter?
Yes.
Because we had,
maybe.
What the heck? It was 3/4 inch rebar that is ran every 4 foot from the top, and our basement's 10 feet tall. So it's done to that, and it's ran 4 feet into the ground.
If it ever does go, you'll never know a thing. It will not give you any warning. It'll just be over if it's something that drastic. So yeah, no worries. That thing will be there.
Yeah, the rest of this house, everything else will be gone. The old parts of the house, everything else will be gone. 3 walls to the 3 walls to the new addition. Yeah, it'll be.
100 years from now, somebody will find it and go, "Hey, check this out. We can just start building."
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so beyond over-engineered. I just told him, I said, just turn some blocks sideways, and I just turn it into a freaking gun fortress.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else, man. What do we do?
I don't know. The after-hour show is always more exciting.
Is it? Yeah, I never get to stay for that. I always have to play catch-up with the ticket system after I get off of here. So it's not
don't
too
feel
bad
bad.
today.
I can't stay for that today either. So
yeah, our stuff comes in waves on the support thing. You know, it'll be quiet. I say quiet. There's always questions and stuff, but you'll get a real big influx, you know, for about 2 weeks, and it'll settle down, and then it'll come back, and it'll settle down. I guess as the machines are deployed, you know, you can see kind of how that works. It's kind of nuts, actually.
Are you seeing any common issues with some of the machines that we should?
Not really. I've had a couple of 60-watt power supply failures. And that's 2 out of about 5,000 that I know of. So it hasn't raised a red flag yet, because you know you get a bad one every once in a while. But I haven't seen an uptick to the point where we're concerned about it. But we did let China know. Actually, they let us know that they had a few instances as well. So we'd look at that. Things have actually gone down The feet and the red dot pointers were a couple of the things that I used to send out all the time, and chiller pumps. That has actually gone down. I haven't sent out a red dot pointer in months. And those are usually pretty common because no matter how good of equipment we try to get, it's really hard to get a dollar laser pointer that's worth a crap.
Right.
So we keep handfuls of those things. But
what about the lady that was having that internal breaker trip, and what was ended up being her problem?
That was a bad power supply. The laser power supply shorted down.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was the air pump. And matter of fact, let me talk about that for a minute. I don't know if I have the ticket. It was the air pump. It was the stock air pump shorted down. But the reason that it was shortened, and it doesn't make sense to me at first, because you have a relay there that's supposed to, turn that on and off. So when you plug the air pump in, you really shouldn't have any way for it to short, right? Because the relay's not engaged. But the way that thing works, it works for the high and low air. So there's technically 2 relays in series, and something happened and it fed back through. It was a direct short. So it fed from one back through the other through that circuit, and that's what was causing it. But when we took it out of line, everything works. Everything else works okay. The TL timer was okay. The relays were okay. So I sent them a new pump, and I think they're going.
Good.
So
I got all paranoid. 2 days ago, I was sitting there, just turned it on, and hadn't even started anything. Laser's not going, nothing. And my main breaker on my house trips on it, and I'm like, whoa, that was kind of scary. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just gonna monitor it and make sure my breaker's not going bad, because that was kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah. Typically, if it's with the machine, it'll trip the internal breaker, before it kicks anything else.
Right.
But it's the weakest link usually. But yeah, keep an eye on that for sure. It may be getting a little weak or something. I've had breakers get weak. You have to replace them. Yeah. But yeah, that was a weird one. That took a little bit. That took a little bit of troubleshooting. And that's another thing that's so cool is everybody. Most people don't get into lasers and want to have to troubleshoot them, but sometimes you do, and it's pretty cool to see people do that. Luckily they were handy with a multimeter, so we were able to do some continuity checks and figure it out pretty quick.
Well, the thing is, if you do know how to work on it, and you go down, off hours or something that you're needing an immediate backup, you're better off knowing how to fix it yourself, or at least to troubleshoot it. Instead of just being completely reliant on tech support.
Yeah. And well, I'm real good at trying to get people self-reliant too as we move along. So everybody ends up being a Thunder Laser tech before it's all over with. Because we still got some Mars machines we're doing support on. They're 15, 20 years old, some of them.
Well, like I tell people when they ask for help with troubleshooting and stuff, is it's usually the simplest thing that's wrong with it. But everybody seems to think it's the end of the world when something happens or it doesn't work right, But it's usually the simplest thing, like, is your door shut? Is your chiller turned on?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. And weird stuff like the test button in Lightburn doesn't work on all U-channel axis, or the frame button in Lightburn, with the rotary, it acts weird. But those, there's little stuff like that are just nuances that are specific to Thunder because there's some advanced systems. But yeah, honestly, most of us just doing trainings and that kind of stuff. That's what still surprises me. I can't get over how many machines we have out there placed and how little problems we actually have.
Yeah.
So it frees me up to do a lot of other stuff, like writing articles and answering questions and stuff like that. So regular questions on how to do things. But
I guess I could ask a question tech support wise. Remember the issues I was having with my camera? And we figured out that it was a 120.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't stay in focus, or I still can't keep it calibrated. I have done everything, and it's now making me wonder, because I am seeing such a wide range across the top of that bed, and I'm seeing the sides of the laser. Is anytime I move anything around the outsides of the laser on those, the upper arms, could that be throwing it out? Because I can literally, it can be in 1 minute and the lid not even be touched, and I go to try to do a position or just check something, and it's out.
No, yeah, something's loose. It's got to be.
And I've got zip ties on that thing. It's zip tied. Heck, I've got 4 on that thing.
Yeah.
and the sides of it are tight and everything, but it has never. Now that you and I went over, doing the whole camera or the camera XY
Yeah.
moving, I just redo it really fast to get it close to where I need it to be.
Right.
But there's times all of a sudden, because I'm like -8 plus
Okay.
2.5, I'll save it, and the next time I'll start it back up. Or if I probably like right now, after I plug my camera back into my laptop, I'll guarantee it'll be back out for when I just had it calibrated a little bit ago, or right back on close to being in it. But I've noticed too, I've wondered because things get moved, on the top edges of your laser, and I'm wondering if
Nothing should
because it's
matter if the camera and the lid, everything that's associated with supporting that camera, if none of that ever changes. Now I've seen this. I've seen a camera be off because they hold on to the lid when they raise it up. It was on a Nova 24, and they hold the lid the whole time. And when you do that, it doesn't go to the same place every time. If you let go a little sooner or a little later, that's after most of the forces that's already up. So you can actually make the lid be open at different, and a millimeter matters. You know what I'm saying, for that kind of thing.
I've tried it. I sat there and played with that one day.
Yeah,
let it go earlier,
did
let
I
it go later.
mention about relaxing the hinges and all of that, releasing the hardware on the lid and letting it relax and tighten it back up?
I think I did that already, because I just tried it on my own just because I was checking to see if it was, just trying to get things done.
You would think it would have to be physical movement, actual physical placement of the camera for that to be off. And that's what's so strange, unless maybe one of those shocks is not as strong as it needs to be and it doesn't go to the same place every time, or the ball joints on those, that's why usually I tell people to let them go, because gravity, will settle everything usually back down to where it's supposed to every
snaps
time.
back. Yeah,
right.
The only thing I was thinking is just because mine sees such a wider spectrum than the average, having the 120
if you're
from
off
there
on the edges, farther toward the outside, then it's a lens calibration problem. If you're only off around the edges, if the middle of it is dead on, the center of your work area.
Over.
Okay, if it's off all over, something's going on. If you're dead on in the middle, but get out the farther out toward the outside you go, that's the lens calibration typically.
Yeah, it just literally doesn't matter where I'm at. It's typically it'll jump out, and then I just do the XY when I'm sitting here just to get it in for what I'm using at that point in time. But I know not to close my lid or to touch anything. But then I was like, wait a minute. All of a sudden it's back out again. And I only use it typically when I'm sitting at the computer and I'm just trying to cram stuff in there. I'm trying to.
And you are using autofocus in conjunction with it, right?
Yeah.
So that it's at the same distance every time. Okay. I mean, if you want to dig through it again, we can. I don't know if I'll have a chance tomorrow, but maybe Monday or something. We can set up a sesh and I'll jump in there and we'll have a look, see if we can identify anything. Maybe we can take some snapshots, as we play with stuff, and see if we can overlay them or something, superimpose them, and see if we can see minute differences in placement or positioning that may, lend us some sort of idea as to what's going on.
Yeah, the only thing like I said I could come up with is because I've got the odd situation that I have a bigger camera on mine than is supposed to be on it.
Well,
because I'm seeing a wider range.
Is that not a 120? Is it a?
I've got a 35 with a 120 on it. So remember, mine sees past the edges of the bed.
That's right.
I see past the edges of the entire laser.
You've got a 35. See, the 63s can get off a little because of that. If you've got a 35, you ought to put an 85-degree camera on there. You'll never be off again. I haven't calibrated mine in 2 years.
Well, see, that's what they sent me was the 120. Because remember, mine had the original camera that died. It had something wrong with it in the circuitry.
Yeah, well, I think that was a mistake. They probably should have sent you an 85.
So I kept wondering if the 120, just because it's seeing the edges of the tops of my laser, is the reason why it's not focusing on the bed. It's focusing on everything.
Well, it doesn't focus. It's manual. It doesn't do any focusing. It doesn't see anything like that. It doesn't take anything into account other than, I mean.
Oh, that's right, because it doesn't have autofocus on it. So it's basically focusing what we're setting up from the bed. I don't know if that's the only thing I could come up with in my head that would be throwing it off.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Nothing should be throwing it off. That's what's so goofy.
Well, if you want to try to play with it again, and then we can try to do it and see if we can run
Let's try to figure that out, because I can't let something like that slide. We got to figure it out.
Because I just been doing it manually. Like I said, after you showed me the little thing, I just keep I put a little dot on the board, or I
And
sit
that
here and I look
works.
over, and I sit here and look
You
over and
shouldn't
go,
have to.
well, I need it to be between those two lines, so I'll get it there, and I'm like, okay, on the screen it's matching up with there, and I can do it pretty quickly now.
Yeah, and that's fine, but you shouldn't have to.
No good.
Travis
Lord.
has a friend.
Is that a flower on that dog?
Yeah, this is this is my mother-in-law's dog. It's massive, can't you tell? I mean, look at this thing.
Oh yeah, my dog's turds are bigger than that.
The other day, I was walking around in the shop, and she ran out from a desk and ran across the hall, and I thought it was a big mouse. About ready to stomp on her. So,
Yeah, my one cat's 15 pounds. I think it's probably twice the weight of that one.
oh yeah, my smallest dog that I have is 15 pounds, and the biggest one's 45. So we have 4 dogs in our shop every day.
Yeah, because
Hey.
my German, she's 90.
Oh,
My one male cat's 15 pounds.
Hey,
What's funny is we got a
thing.
new kitten to replace one I had to put down, and the older cat's become the younger one's almost like they're both males, but he's like his mother now. But this cat will actually belly flop the kitten. They get resting, and he just takes off and goes airborne, and it's like a belly smack, and you see the kitten's eyeballs like almost pop out. But when they snuggle up and sleep, he uses the kitten as a pillow. He stretches all the way across him and just lays there.
Wow.
And the kitten just keeps looking up like, are you going to get off of me so I can breathe?
Hey, one other thing about the camera in Lightburn, something that I got to messing around with the other day and just hadn't realized how much of a difference it makes. But seems like by default in your camera settings, the fade as well as the auto exposure and auto brightness are on. If you turn off the auto exposure and auto brightness, at least in my shop, you can get a way better image quality.
Yep.
And down to where you can see like slight deviations in the plywood grain, so you can avoid if you're cutting out something that's going to be stained versus painted, you want to avoid some of the color differences and stuff like that. I didn't realize how big of a difference it actually made, but yeah, it's so
typically like 1 or 2 clicks to the left. Is that what you're seeing as well? When you go get out of the autofocus, and mine go to the left, like I think 1 click to the left on either one of them, and it helped.
I actually sliding mine to the right, but could be based on the lighting and stuff. My shop is lit up with tons of 8-foot fluorescent lights, or I'm sorry, LED lights. So I just replaced all the fluorescents with LEDs, and you have to wear sunglasses in there now.
That's a good another thing too. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
And it helped a lot in turning the fade off as well. I hate
drastically
that
on that.
I hate that they're on by default, but.
Another thing, Brian, too, to think about is remember we was looking at that as well, and the camera you said wasn't coming in as clear as an 85 on that because we couldn't get the focus because it's meant to be, I guess, focused on a wider range or something. And because remember when we zoom in, you can't get as clear as what you thought we should be able to be getting.
That sensor's bigger and it picks up more area, so the farther you zoom in, you're still going to get some pixelation. I've been working on that 12 or 13 megapixel camera, but I still haven't gotten it working right. I want to get one size fits all with the cameras. If I get a high enough resolution, I think I can do it. But I'd love to send you. We'll set it up and fix. We'll see what's going on with that thing. I want to fix it, even if I have to send you another camera to test with. I want to figure out what's going on with that. For sure.
Yeah, because it could help somebody else out of. I mean,
I wonder if his issue. If you've got if you've got the different lens camera, right? Because understanding is between them you've got a different optimal focus length, right? So if he's got the smaller laser with we'll say a less focal length because his door doesn't open as high, is he not in the optimal focus, which causes issues calibrating and keeping it calibrated?
Yeah, well, since it's manual focus, as long as he can pull a focus and it looks decent, I don't think it'd be a difference.
Yeah, it shouldn't change, right? It should stay the same.
It should.
Even if it was the best or not, it should stay consistent.
Your thinking keeps going the same way I'm Jeremy too, because I keep thinking auto and it's manual.
If it were autofocus, it would make a huge difference, I think, or it could. Because I think the way some of those work, it can actually change the aspect. I mean, it changes the perspective a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. And I've tried playing with it again, like you and I was that day, and I kept after I started having the problem again. I kept forgetting to bring it up. So I've played with, refocusing and then trying to I went through the complete recalibration thing one more time, and I'm like, I ain't doing this no
Did you
more.
do
I'll
the
just
dots?
No, remember we didn't because
We thought we knew what the field of view was on that lens.
because I remember I had the dots printed out, and we decided not to even go with it. And remember, because we thought it was a 35, we finally figured out, or
Yeah.
an 85, we figured out it was a 120.
Yeah. So okay. Hey Google, remind me to fix Jim Sheffer's camera. Okay. I set a reminder.
So whenever you want to do it, you got my number. Just call me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump back off of here. I got a few tickets I need to catch up on. And do you want me to leave it, or are we gonna say bye bye?
I got one quick question. I
Yeah, go
got
ahead.
one quick question on that temperature difference. My laser sits in a room off of my warehouse. The warehouse will vary from 40 to 85 degrees year round. Most of the time it's dry. It's not usually humid at all. If I put that air in from the warehouse in there, what difference, I mean, how much temperature difference do we have to be concerned about condensation that you were talking about?
So your best bet for that is, let me grab one here.
Plus, part of it's going to be is what is the temperature swing between where your laser's at and where that is at.
Right. So
it's
yours isn't going to be
from room
severe.
to room.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
So get one of these. They're magnet backs. They're like $10 at Home Depot or Lowe's.
16% humidity. Wow, that's dry.
Yeah. Huh? What, my 16%?
Wow, Jiminy Christmas.
I have 6 humidifiers running right now, too.
And I thought 35 was bad in here.
Well, the thing where the laser stays constant at 72, I don't have a problem with that. But bringing the other air, I mean, I just would like to bring the other air in if I could.
You can.
So what you'll do though is, so you'll get, when you get one of these, you can hop online. There's condensation calculators where you put in what your ambient air temperature is, what your, and it's all going to be dependent on your chiller, on what temperature you have that set to. So that's what you really need to look at, is what your chiller temperature is set to versus the air that's coming into the laser is, and what the relative humidity is. You'll plug all that into one of those online calculators, and it'll tell you if you're going to have a risk of condensating or not. Because when you condensate, it's nasty.
So why does the chiller have anything? Why does the chiller have anything to do with the condensation?
Chiller has everything to do with it.
Chiller is the water running through the tube, not the inside temperature of the laser.
But that's what condenses.
That's what you're worried about, is condensating on that glass tube.
I've had my laser literally from the metal.
Yeah, I'm thinking about too. You got to worry about mirrors. You got to worry about lenses when you start doing the temperature change, because your mirrors and your lenses could sweat on top of that, which could cause you an issue.
But the only thing is, you'd have to have it
rely on the chiller solely.
Well, the chiller definitely comes into factor, because that's the only constant value you know. You know it's going to be at 20 degrees. If you know your tube is going to be at 20 degrees, you can define that. So that's why he was saying go by what your chiller says.
No, but
if your chiller's at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the inside of your machine while engraving or burning or cutting is not going to be 72 degrees. It's going to be much hotter than that probably.
Right, and that's your ratio. That's how you figure out your dew point.
Yeah, and then if you're pumping in air that's 40 degrees, you might have to run the calculator a couple times.
Twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be, because I'm just thinking of building up humidity or moisture, even like on the insides of the metal and stuff, because you're going to be changing the temperature inside that.
Well,
the open atmosphere, not just the tube and stuff. I'm looking at I'm looking at mirrors and the metals.
Jason's right. You can get condensate on other places besides the tube, but I've only seen it one time, and it's because someone set the air conditioner in that place to like 60 degrees one day when it was 100 outside, and they left the door closed, and the hot air came in through the exhaust, that hot humid air, and it literally made it look like it was a rainforest inside that whole machine. But it's only happened once.
Glass on the inside.
Only once in the 5 years.
I've had it happen to mine.
It's happened more than once.
Yeah, it has.
Right after it was done running, I had the exhaust fan on, and it was I don't know, probably in 30s or 40s down here, like 1 or 2 times a year. But what I did is I shut everything off. The air was still running because I have it on a continuous circuit, so it's always running. And I went inside for, I don't know, probably a half hour, 45 minutes. The cut job was done. Come back out. There's literally condensation on the shield, on the glass of the laser, dripping
Yeah.
from the frame rails and everything.
Yeah, it was
So,
in the control panel and everything, in the controller, the HMI and everything of that one that I saw.
But
I mean,
I use massive dehumidifiers now, and I've never had a problem since.
See, that would be my
So-
only problem is when you're moving that much air, just coming from the HVAC side of things, the industry, is if you're introducing air from another room, and you're, let's say that you're 72 degrees in one room, and you're sucking air through there, but you're pulling air from another room that's, say, that's 40 degrees, and you're going to directly feed that into that front grill, you're going to have a major temperature swing inside of there on all the parts, electronic parts, not just the
Well-
laser tube and stuff. I'm looking at your mirrors and everything could possibly build up
in
condensation.
his instance, he doesn't need an intake. Just put a vent in the side of the wall, and then just so you're not airtight. Really?
I can handle that. That'll be good. Be simple.
Yeah, I don't think you even need to. I mean, just leave the door open, or I don't, unless your area is I guess what I
Danny,
mean is,
how big is your shop? First off,
The office that is in is 12 by 20.
Is it in your
And
house?
No, it's in inside of. I've got a metal building, and it's inside the warehouse area of it.
he's got to
Oh.
build it inside of a building.
Oh, kind of like
so
my
if you're not going to pull, are you worried about pulling negative pressure?
Yeah, the
You're-
negative pressure is the issue. Even I've got a split system in there as far as HVAC, so it'll handle anything I bring in. I'm just trying to make sure that I keep enough air in there when we do a lot of cutting.
So if you
Well,
have a
you gotta-
door that leads to that room, you could just leave that door open. If you're not direct feeding it, you should be fine.
I can handle that, no problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah, if you're-
overthink it. Yeah,
Are you in a build out inside of a metal building? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's what. Yes, I've got a complete isolated unit
Yeah.
inside the warehouse.
I would just I don't know, maybe put a duct from the outside from the main warehouse into the shop, let it draw its air naturally from that, and then you don't have to worry about a negative pressure.
If it's a conditioned space, you'll be fine.
This one just like this one here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally just
So
put a
just draw-
louvered in,
draw-
so that way
draw
when you
your
turn,
Well, either that, I can leave the door cracked or whatever. That ain't an issue. I was just concerned about bringing the air in.
Yeah.
Well, if you put
at the end of the day, I would make that a reactive thing, not a proactive one. I would wait and see if
Yeah.
you even have trouble first. Otherwise, you're really overthinking it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have a metal building that I used before, and I had a roll up door, and naturally roll up doors don't have the best sealing or sealant around them to keep them from leaking. And I ran 2 lasers off of that with the 400 plus CFM dual, and never had an issue with. I mean, it brought in a lot of cold air in the winter and the hot air in the summer, but other than that,
And if your air in the warehouse that you're going to be bringing in isn't outside air anyway, it's not necessarily conditioned, but it's within a more of a range that's acceptable than what you would be bringing from outside anyway. I don't see any
Yeah.
problem at all.
let's just,
Okay.
for example, my shop, my garage is what, 1,000 square feet, so I can suck all the air pretty quick. All I do is it tied right straight into my kitchen. I just crack the door open going into the kitchen, so I just pull air from the rest of the house. Which is basically the similar exact same thing you're doing, and it works perfectly fine.
yeah, but
It's just leaving the door cracked open.
you're pulling conditioned air out of your house, so.
Well, yeah, I'm pulling condition, but it'd be the same thing. He's somewhat in that warehouse
it's
condition, so it's similar. It's just not creating that airlock and creating an air deficit going into his laser or to his
Well, it won't
exhaust.
hurt the split system to run some extra anyway, so it's not a big deal bringing the other air in. All right, I was just maybe overthinking. That's good thinking. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm going to bust out of here, guys. I better I got a few questions I need to answer.
Travis is Travis is getting ready to party.
Ready.
I was getting ready to eat
honestly,
some food.
I thought Alaska was hours behind us. It was 5 o'clock somewhere, but not in Alaska.
I thought
no,
that was
it's,